All right, so now let's talk about complementary and supplementary angles, okay? Now we got the definitions here. This is from the book. Complementary angles are basically two positive angles whose measurements have a sum of 90 degrees. Each angle is the complement of each other. So basically they're saying that, hey, you got two angles, and those two angles add up to 90 degrees, right? Like in this case over here, angle 1 and angle 2, you guys notice over here we got the square there, so that means 90 degrees. Both of these angles are up to 90 degrees. And also this one, 70 degrees plus 20 degrees, angle B and angle A, 70 plus 20 gives you 90 degrees. So those angles are complementary, okay? And one is the complement of the other. Supplementary angles, well, supplementary angles is two positive angles whose measures have a sum of 180 degrees. And each angle is the supplement of each other. So again, if you look at this angle over here, angle 3 and 4, they form 180 degrees. They add up to 180 degrees, those two angles. And also 115 plus 65, okay? 115 plus 65, that's equal to 180 degrees, okay? 180 degrees. Okay, and simple, right? Now let's take a look also at this next one over here. Adjacent angles, okay? Adjacent angles. Okay, the definition of adjacent angles, okay, are basically two angles that share a common vertex and a side, but have no common interior points. So how can I say it? Because basically, I call the adjacent angles, okay, the condominiums of angles, or of the apartment angles, because they share a common side. So in an apartment, a condominium, the people share a common wall. So that's what they're sharing. They're sharing a common wall right there, a common side, and also they're sharing a common vertex right there. So this example over here is basically an example of adjacent angle. This one over here, they are not adjacent, okay? They are not sharing a common side or a common vertex. So this one is a yes, it's adjacent, and this one is not, okay? Now, looking at this over here, okay? I want you guys to identify, you got the two angles there, of two different drawings. I want you guys to identify for me a pair of complementary angles, a pair of supplementary angles, and a pair of adjacent angles, okay? Pause the video, see if you're able to do it. All right, so let's start with complementary angles. Complementary, all right? I'm looking for two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Well, if you guys look at this one, 53 and 37, okay? Angle CAD and angle RST, okay? They add up to 90 degrees. So 53, so CAV is 37, sorry about that. So let's make it 37, plus RST, that is 53, that's equal to 90 degrees. So those are complementary angles. Now let's take a look at two supplementary angles. So let me do that. So two supplementary. Supplementary, well, I'm trying to look for two angles that add up to 180 degrees. Well, CAD and RST. CAD is 127 degrees and RST is 53 degrees, and guess what? Those two angles add up to 180 degrees. And finally, we're looking for two adjacent angles. Remember, adjacent angles, they have to share a side and a common vertex. It's like I told you, it's like kind of the condominium angles. That's what I call it. So the only ones here, they're like adjacent, that will be these angles, CAD and CAD. So they are sharing that right there, right? They're sharing CA. So adjacent, that will be angle CAD and angle CAB. Okay? Those are the definitions of complementary, supplementary, and adjacent. So let's go for see more definitions here. See if I can take a look at, actually, let's do one more example here, okay? I want you guys to do this example here. Pause the video, okay? We got basically angle 1 is a complement of angle 2, and angle 1 is 62 degrees, find angle 2. And then we got angle 3 is a supplement of angle 4, and angle 4 is equal to 47 degrees, find angle 3. So pause the video, see if you're able to do it. All right, so let's go over it. Let's find out example 2a. Complement, guys, remember that complement is two angles that add up to 90 degrees, right? And supplements is two angles that add up to 180 degrees. So in this case, example A, angle 1 plus angle 2 has to be equal to 90 degrees because they are complementary. So that means complementary, right? So angle 1 is 62 degrees. Angle 2, I do not know what is angle 2, and that's going to be equal to 90 degrees. So subtracting 62 degrees from both sides of the equation should give you angle 2, which is basically 90 minus 62, and that will be equal to 28 degrees. That is the complement angle of angle 1. For example B, same deal, but instead of using 90 degrees, we're using 180 degrees. So angle 3 plus angle 4 equal to 180 degrees. Remember, this is supplementary, right? Let me move it up here so you can see it. And angle 3, we don't know what it is, but we know that angle 4 is 47 degrees. And if you add them both together, that's equal to 180. Subtracting 47 to both sides of the equation should give you angle 3, which in this case is going to be 130 degrees. And that is the complement. Angle 3 is the complement angle of angle 4. All right. Let's look for a couple more definitions here. I hope this is easy for you guys. Now let's talk about a linear pair and vertical angles. So a linear pair is basically an adjacent angles that are up to 180 degrees. So you got an adjacent angle, two adjacent angles, right? They're sharing the same side and same vertex, and they add up to 180 degrees. That is what we call a linear pair, right? Vertical angles, okay, according to the definition, is two angles are vertical angles when their sides form two pairs of opposite rays. So if you have two crossing lines, right, crossing like that, well, the opposite angles are going to be vertical, and also they're going to be equal to each other. So this angle and this angle, angle 4 and 5, are vertical, and angle 3 and 6 are also vertical angles. So let me write it down. Angle 4 is equal, it's going to be equal, all right, to angle 5, and they're also vertical angles right there, and those are the yellow angles. And angle 3 is also going to be equal to angle 6, and also they are vertical angles. So right there. So again, when you cross in two lines, the opposite angles are vertical and they are also equal to each other, or congruent to each other. Okay, instead of using equal, we can use the word congruent. Okay, congruent. For example, if I cross these angles here, right, the two lines here. If this is, I don't know, 120 degrees, guess what? This one is also 120 degrees. And this angle over here is going to be 60 degrees. It has to be 60 because, this angle and this angle form a linear pair. See? The orange and yellow, they form a linear pair, form 180 degrees. So this is 60, and guess what? The across one is 60 degrees. So you guys notice 120 plus 60 is 180, 60 plus 120 is 180, 120 plus 60 is 180, 60 plus 120 is 180, and if you add them all up together, you have a circle which is 360 degrees. So these angles are going to be equal to each other. The vertical angles are going to be equal to each other, right? And these angles are going to be linear pairs. Linear pair, linear pair, linear pair, linear pair. And everything together is 360 degrees. Now, I want you guys to do the next one here, okay? It says finding angle measures in a linear pair. So two angles from a linear pair. Remember, linear pairs means that there are two adjacent angles. They're sharing the same vertex and the same one side, right? And they add up to 180. Remember that? And they're saying the measure of one angle is 5 times the measure of the other angle. Find the measure of each angle. So pause the video. See if you're able to do it. All right. So again, I gotta draw a linear pair. We know that one is 5 times bigger than the other one. A linear pair, guys, remember, it's a straight line. So I know that it's gonna be 180 degrees, right? All of this is gonna be 180 degrees. So all of this is 180 degrees. All of this, all the orange, from here to there. And they're saying that one angle is 5 times bigger than the other one. So this one is 5x, and this one is going to be x. Okay? It's 5 times bigger than this one, right? We don't know what it is, but we know that this one is 5 times bigger than this one. So the whole thing is 180. This angle is 5x, and this one is x. So 5x plus x equals to 180. It's because it's a linear pair, right? A linear pair means two angles that are adjacent, right? And they add up to 180. So 6x equals to 180 degrees right there. Divide both sides by 6 should give you x is equal to 30. So now we can plug in the information, right? So we know that, let me draw it over here so we can see it. We know that this angle is 30 degrees, right? That's x. And this one is 5 times 30 degrees, which in this case is 150 degrees. So my angles are going to be 150 degrees and 30 degrees. I hope this is helpful for you guys. Please don't forget to do your assignments.